Okay, so hello everyone. Today is Thursday. I mean, it's not Thursday. It is
It's
Wednesday,
Wednesday. Yeah.
November the 22nd, and we are continuing in our study in the Course of Miracles. We are still in chapter 3, the innocent perception, working in section 4, error and the ego, and we will be reviewing paragraph 5. So I can go
Yay.
ahead and begin us in prayer.
Okay. You shake that.
Just sit back, take a couple of deep cleansing breaths. Allow yourselves to be at your altar. Our altar is at the heart of our consciousness, our conscious awareness that there is only one source. This source is the essence of all, the absolute. And as we remember that we are all part of this source, of this essence, of this absolute. We are individualized aspects of the divine. And in this space, we allow ourselves to be open and receptive to learning new ideas, learning how to either bring in the new or just allowing any old, outdated ways of thinking just to simply fall away. We don't have to make anything happen. We just allow ourselves to be whole and complete in source. And as we know that we are whole and complete, we find ourselves being so thankful, so grateful, being full of gratitude that at this moment, in this space and time, where our consciousness is meets one with this manifested body in this space and time, we allow ourselves to be filled with love, filled with excitement for learning, filled with opportunity for sharing, filled with desire to know more, to be more, and to give each and every spark in our bodies and in our minds connection with our holiness, with our divineness, with our divinity, and with this, we say, and so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is. Did I hear Forrest?
Yes, it just came in.
Oh,
Oh, hey,
okay.
how you doing? Okay.
I'm doing magnificent. Thank you.
Harry, you
It's
want to go ahead
Okay.
and take it away?
Yeah. Yeah. As had hi everybody, first of all.
hi.
Uh first of all, as has already been stated, we're in chapter 3, the innocent perception, section 4, error and the ego, and we will be dissecting paragraph 5 today, which reads as follows. Perception always involves some misuse of mind because it brings the mind into areas of uncertainty. The mind is very active. When it chooses to be separated, it chooses to perceive. Until then, it wills only to know. Afterwards, it can only choose ambiguously. And the only way out of ambiguity is clear perception. The mind returns to its proper function only when it wills to know. This places it in the service of spirit, where perception is changed. The mind chooses to divide itself when it chooses to make its own levels. But it could not entirely separate itself from spirit, because it is from spirit that it derives its whole power to make or create. Even in miscreation, the mind is affirming its source, or it would merely cease to be. This is impossible because the mind belongs to spirit, which God created and which is therefore eternal. Perception always involves some misuses of mind because it brings the mind into areas of uncertainty. And perception to me, each of us has our own perception of whatever something may be. We can all be looking at the same thing, but we're looking at it from a different angle, even though we might be standing shoulder to shoulder. We each see it from a slightly different angle than the other one. And from my perception, there could be a shadow that makes it look like something, makes whatever we're looking at something else than what we're really looking at. From the person standing next to me, whether it's Penny or Forrest, they're seeing it straight on, full on. And the person on the other side could be looking at it, or is looking at it from a different angle from the other two. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. Perception always involves some misuse of mind because it brings the mind into areas of uncertainty. Because when we each discuss our perception of something based on our point of view, our experiences, or whatever, we are going to bring in our truth on the matter. And what we have perceived is not necessarily what the next person receives. And it could be that it's the next person that perceives it would totally disagree with my perception or with someone else's perception, or they might agree partially, not totally.
Okay.
And you know, when it says it involves some misuse of mind, we are now understanding, well, I can't even say really understanding, but we are we are beginning to understand that, you know, the mind is so vast and it has so much information. And when and you know, perception, if I'm perceiving, just like you were saying, you know, if I, you know, when I perceive something, you know, not only am I, you know, looking at it from, you know, from a manifested viewpoint, I'm also allowing my experiences of my past,
Exactly,
you know, to you know, help me understand what my perception is. So of course, this is going, you know, my mind is because my mind is not fully in the fullness of source. So I'm still only able to see it from where I am. So yes, my mind, you know, there is a great possibility that my mind is my perception is misusing my mind, and is bringing my mind into areas of uncertainty, especially if it's some new material. or if it's something that I don't understand yet, or if it's, you know, some old, if it's some old material that I'm still holding on to and I don't want to see the new. So, you know,
Right.
these are things that bring me into an area of uncertainty, because I can't be certain, because I can't know for sure.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things that I think that that's one of the things that this course has been teaching us about perception, is that perception and knowledge are two different things.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And I was just checking my two sources, which I kind of go to first before I even go to the dictionary. The glossary of terms as put together by Robert Perry from A Course in Miracles. It says perception is the process of trying to know an object while separate from it
Hmm.
by interpreting or judging information received by our physical senses. So we touch or feel, see, hear, taste. And what did I leave out? What's the other sense? Smell.
Smell. Bye.
Yeah. Also, the interpreted images that result from this process necessarily involves a separation between subject and object, between us and what we are trying to know. It is thus inherently uncertain, as well as partial and changing, and outside the realm of knowledge. Ooh.
Wow.
It seems that outer things and events themselves produce our perception of them, yet our perceptions are actually produced by projecting outward our own belief system, especially our self-concept. How we perceive the world determines our experience condition. That's what we just said.
Right.
This perception is our choice. Healing perception, the goal of the course. Healing perception.
So what I got out of it is how the mind works. It's always not connected to spirit, but also remember that everything that I think is right may not be right, but I always have to be open-minded to get other people's thoughts or ideas and just see if they're right or wrong, but always, I'm not always right.
But as far as you, and I cannot tell you that you're wrong, because I have not walked in your shoes. So don't, what I'm saying to you is, see yourself as right until you are proved, until someone has proved to you that you have misperceived.
Okay.
And plus, you know, all we can do is, you know, understand it, you know, is perceive for ourselves, and
Exactly.
you know, we heal from perception.
Mhm.
And that's the thing that we are trying to experience, is a healing from perception, so that we get to this point where we know.
Okay,
Right,
gotcha.
exactly.
Okay. We know that we're correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And let's see, number 2 says the mind is very active. Oh man.
Yeah.
The mind is very active.
Tell me about it. I mean, you go
always working overtime.
Always.
Really. I mean, you sit to meditate, and that's supposed to be a time where you kind of go within, and that monkey mind is sure fooling around.
Right. Try to clear yourself.
Yep. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes. Sir.
And number 3 is, when it chooses to be separated, it chooses to perceive. And you know, this is a really, you know, kind of wonky sentence here, because when our mind chooses to be separated, and you know, I think that you know, for so long I didn't know that my mind was choosing separation. I
Mhm.
just thought I was separate. I just thought everything was separate. I thought everything and everybody was separate, you
And I
know?
mean, that we have all been taught that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we're on this planet. We're each in the vessel. You're in the vessel called Penelope. Forrest is in Forrest vessel. Forrest Daniel vessel, and I'm in
Mhm.
Harriet Lomax vessel.
Mhm.
And we are taught that we are separate. But when we look at the Course in Miracles and some other philosophies, we are being taught, but we still can't conceive of the idea that we are also one, because we are one as a part of the universe.
Right. And I think that's how we learn to grow spiritually, understanding that as we grow spiritually, we understanding that we're all one instead of separate.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And the sad part about it is basic Christianity talks about the Trinity. And when you talk about the Trinity, you're talking about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Mhm.
And when you look at it in that way, what are we looking at? I mean, in your mind, you're seeing separation.
Right. Here's
Well,
a perfect
Christianity
example.
also teaches us that we are the body of Christ.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, so it actually does teach unity, you
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but because we are still living in a sense of perception
Right.
and not in wholeness,
Mhm.
Right.
it makes it different. You know, we become uncertain
Exactly.
and we
Exactly.
believe and we tend to believe the thing that we see as opposed to having faith that is unseen.
All right.
Exactly.
And also what we've been taught. Here's a perfect example for me. So if I believe that Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven or to God, that I can lead myself to understanding that I'm not connected to Buddhism or some other people's religions, quote unquote, to understanding that Jesus Christ is the only way. I don't think my feeling is that I have to understanding that Jesus Christ is not the only way.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my perception.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things is then when we do perceive separateness,
Mm-hmm.
we begin to trust in the thing that we see.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
You know? And so
Exactly.
now we trust that, you know, this is the United States, and that other place over there is called Mexico, and this other place over there is called Canada. And instead
Mhm.
of us seeing ourselves as North America as one whole thing, we're still seeing ourselves, we're seeing America as the
Just the
whole
United
thing.
States. Right.
And,
And
and we're not allowing ourselves to see wholeness because
Right.
we are invested in separatism. And this is what this
What we've been
and this
taught.
yeah. And this sentence says when it chooses to be separate, it chooses to proceed. And I think that for me, I didn't choose to be separate. I thought that separation was the truth. And now that I'm choosing to see wholeness, that takes it's taken a little bit more work for me.
mhm.
You know, I have to bring myself back to that place in center and say,
Right.
oh, that's right, everything is whole. Oh, that's right, there's only one. Oh, that's
Mhm.
right, I fit in because I am the body, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have to remind myself sometimes, you know, verbally out loud of
Mm-hmm.
that.
And so for me, even when I say I am that I am, I always thought I am had to be connected with Jesus Christ is the only way to be connected to God. But I understanding that I have to open my mind that I have to say if we're one, that Jesus Christ is not the only way to God or to heaven or where is heaven. Is heaven a final place that we go to, or heaven place is a place that we are?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard somebody say something about heaven on earth? I
Yes.
think heaven is where you make it.
Mm-hmm.
If that's my perception. Okay.
Wouldn't it
That's
be wonderful if everybody was on Course of Miracles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A state of consciousness.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
And
Has-
that's
has-
why I said that, this sentence number 3 was a little wonky for me, because when it chooses, the mind chooses to be separated, it chooses to perceive. And now that I'm understanding that, I wasn't given I wasn't given a choice. I wasn't given a choice to be separated. I was told that separation was what it was, what it is. And when I look around, I perceive everything as separate. There's one blue car, there's one orange, yellow car, there's one something else, there's something. So all of these there's a Ford, there's a there's a Chevy. So all of these things I'm seeing as separation, as opposed to just seeing as a level of consciousness. But now that I'm understanding that I can choose wholeness,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's where that choice, now it becomes a choice.
Right.
Where for me at first it wasn't a choice. It was, I guess was directed to me, was taught to me. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So I think, like we're saying, what we're taught or what we bring up, we grow into, is that because this is exactly what we're taught. But for me, as I've grown spiritually, I have to be open-minded to understanding that if we're separated, but still we're one.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen it's a series of programs, and it deals with history, world issues. It's called The Butterfly Effect. It's on one of those. It's called
The
a
movie?
butter. No, it's not. No, this is a series of programs. It's on one of those free streaming services. I don't remember now which one it is, because my son got it. But you can probably find it if you just Google it. But it's called The Butterfly Effect, and what they do, each episode, I think, is about around a half an hour. And what they will do is they talk about different events that have taken place over time, and it connects those events with to show how they connect over a period of time, how different events or activities or people or whatever are connected over a period of time. I don't remember what the streaming service is, but I know it's one of those freebies.
Yeah, well, that's what the butterfly effect is. It is, that I don't remember who came up with it, but it's that, with the flap of one butterfly, it shifts the environment so much so that things go into place with that vibration.
Exactly. And it's interesting that they use the term butterfly effect, because I mean, a butterfly is so light it can land on your hand, and unless you see it, you might not even feel it. So just think about it in that way. This nearly weightless object has tremendous power, and basically that's what it's trying to tell us, that if the butterfly has that much effect, think how much effect we have in how we treat people and how we go about our day-to-day business and how we, react to people.
Right.
So,
And that's one of the things that uh we know throughout history and throughout time is that we have been told different stories, like, and I'm just going to give the example, Mrs. O'Leary's cow that burned down Chicago.
right.
The story, and there was, they're saying, of course, now we know that there was not really a Mrs. O'Leary. It was a combination of different things that happened to different people at but pretty much at the same time.
Yeah, it was kind of a chain reaction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when we're understanding that everything the same, when you look through any part of history, the smallest thing can create an avalanche that will shift that shifts the whole that
Concept.
can shift the whole society.
Right.
Exactly. You just reminded me, I came across an article today that when we think about this day, tomorrow, we're celebrating Thanksgiving, and the story that has been handed down through the ages is that the immigrants, the pilgrims, came to this country, and after getting through, I don't know how many winters it was, with the aid of the Native Americans, they decided to have this big feast. And that is from the perspective of the writers of our history books. Today, I read this article written by a Native American, part of the Wampanoag tribe up in the New England area. And she was saying that to them, it's a day of mourning. I didn't read the whole article to get into why they saw it as a day of mourning, but she would, in other words, what she was really doing is putting another perspective on this whole idea of the day that we call Thanksgiving and how it's perceived and all. She didn't, poo-poo the idea of Thanksgiving, but to the Native Americans, modern day Native Americans, it's celebrated as a day of mourning.
Yeah, because the story about it wasn't true.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's
Mhm.
that's exactly what she
Yeah,
said.
the story that we got wasn't true. And
Exactly.
but and when we shift that again, because that's one of the things that I was thinking about, these last couple of days, because every holiday that we have is based on somebody's story, because Thanksgiving wasn't even celebrated in America until like 1947.
Oh no,
this-
actually, Lincoln set it aside as it was Lincoln that first set it aside as a holiday, or recognizing having a day of Thanksgiving.
yeah, and that was because there was this lady who wanted to have, who believed in that holiday. And
Right.
but as a nation, on the whole, it's a very new holiday. It's a
Yeah, it
very
is.
recent holiday that, so it hasn't been something that we have done since
The beginning.
since the Mayflower got over here.
Right.
Exactly.
And so all of that story is not factual. However,
The concept was there in the early years because of, well, I have to
lies,
do a
because
little
of
bit.
lies, that
Yeah,
they don't never want to appear to be the bad guy. They
exactly.
always
And
they always
not only that, according to history, the first real Thanksgiving celebration was celebrated right here in Virginia, and in this general area somewhere, I forget now exactly where, but I think it was on the other side of the James.
Mhm. If that was true,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
No.
Because you know, if that was true,
right.
you know.
No, but what I'm saying is the people of the area. Now I don't know whether it was Europeans and Native Americans, or just Native Americans, or just the Europeans. More likely it was the Europeans, because they're the ones that
I'm coming
wanted
right
to-
back. I'm coming right
Okay.
back.
Okay. But the whole idea is they just wanted to get together to say thanks for whatever, they were grateful for at the time. They
Right.
had no
And I
concept.
think, and so what I'm saying is, this is how we should use it now.
Exactly.
So all of,
Exactly.
everything that has been from the, things that have, things that it has been in history, whether,
Mhm.
because, history, it has been really misconstrued. And we are now learning truths, so that, and through these perceptions. So now we have to rise above that perception and use it for what it is.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let it
And
be
no,
a day. Let it be
and
a day of thankfulness. Let it be
exactly.
a
And I
day.
mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
It's a good thing.
It's
It's a
just,
good thing.
yeah, it's just the story that is being told that makes it
Yeah, because the story
that
was a
throws some doubt on it. That's what.
yeah, because the story was a lie. So that's
And now
Exactly.
it's a business.
that's the thing, is that, forget the lie, and now let's just live by the truth. We don't need the
Exactly.
story.
Exactly.
We don't need the story of it. I mean,
Exactly.
that was in its time. That's great. That's the story that we learned. But
Mhm.
now, we can simply have a day of thankfulness without story, where we can sit around a table enjoying the benefits of
The
whatever
bounty. Yeah.
has come to our family, and talk about the wonderfulness that we have, and the wonderfulness that we have to be thankful for.
Right.
Exactly. And as far as I'm concerned, personally, every day should be a day of Thanksgiving.
I agree.
Yeah, I think every day, I think every day is. But there's something special about a collectiveness. There's
Right.
something special about a conscious collectiveness, when everybody comes together collectively at a certain point. And that's the whole point of, like, the like the butterfly effect.
Mhm.
Because when one single consciousness comes together, that consciousness can shift the whole world. It
Exactly.
can shift society.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I'm
Exactly.
looking at this card that I got. I'm gonna put it so we can talk about this spiritual. It says at the beginning of the card, it says, turning 60 used to be some turning 60 used to be something old people did. So what old people be closed-minded. So now I'm turning 60, I'm be open-minded.
Amen. And yes, and that's what the consciousness is. I remember there was when people used to talk about retiring,
Mhm.
they never wanted to retire. All the old people, I don't want to retire. I don't want to sit on a porch and just rock in my rocking chair, And as
Uh-huh.
soon as you retire, you die. So it wasn't surprising that so many people died as soon as they retired. Sometimes within 2 weeks to a year,
Right.
they would be dead as soon as they retire. That's because we believe that. And now once that consciousness shifted and changed, and it changed because of a lot of things that happened in the world. Medicines became more available. More things, more
Things
ways
to
have been
make
opened
our
up,
way of life better.
ways of thinking
Right. Yeah.
have been opened up. So there have been a series of, like, butterfly flaps, or
Mhm.
that gets to this one point where now the whole idea is shifted. And 60 doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you're old anymore.
No.
And I think to a child, it is old.
Oh, hell
Mhm.
yeah.
But
Older-
when you
older than dirt.
when you get there, and if you've taken care of yourself, and when I said taking care of yourself, done everything that you could possibly do to keep your body in good physical shape, your body, mind, and spirit in good shape,
Mhm.
you feel like a teenager, even at 60.
Right.
Yeah. And that's because, it's because of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Choice is so important because that was one of the very first things that was given to humans was choice.
Exactly.
You can have, you can eat from every tree in the garden.
Except.
You can eat from every tree in the garden. And when we understand that choice brings in perception, how are we perceiving this thing that I have to choose from? What one thing is, what's the thing that makes this one good and beneficial for me now and in the future compared to this one right here? And if I get this one right here, will it A, B, C, or D? So we always have to differentiate when we are choosing, but as we are coming back to oneness in mind, it doesn't matter what I choose. It can't be anything but good.
Exactly.
Okay, so that was 3. Number 4. Excuse me. Until then, it wills only to know. That's the mind. Until then, it wills only to know. So, and I think that this is another big thing because we are, will, when we think about will, we think about like willpower, effort, so until we actually make a choice, it's going to work to know. But if we allow ourselves to see wholeness as it is, then we don't have to work toward it anymore. We can be free to be in it. That's how I see this number 4, this sentence number 4.
Okay.
I was trying to see. I was looking up will. Course in Miracles glossary says, okay, they give first the conventional definition, one's desire or intention, what one wants or intends to happen, the mental faculty by which one sets in motion what one wants to happen. Course in Miracles, the faculty by which one creates or extends in heaven. And it says, see creation and extension. I didn't do that. Will is undivided. It requires a whole, united mind with absolutely no ambivalence or uncertainty. Strictly speaking, will exists only in heaven. The split mind is inherently divided and thus is incapable of willing or creating. It can only wish or make or choose. And
Can you say it again for a minute? Repeat that again if you don't mind.
What do you want me to do all parts?
The last part you just said.
Reread will.
Okay. The Course in Miracles definition, the faculty by which one creates or extends in heaven, will is undivided. It requires a whole, united mind with absolutely no ambivalence or uncertainty. So it's saying it's united, it's one, it's unity.
Mhm.
Strictly speaking, will exists only in heaven. The
Mhm.
split mind is inherently divided and thus is incapable of willing or creating. It can only wish or make or choose. And that's the split mind.
Mhm. Mhm. And this is what we're talking about here. When you're using perception, we do
Mhm.
have that split mind.
Yeah.
It is the misuse of the mind. And that's the thing that wills only to know. It just wants to know. It just wants to know. It doesn't want to see the whole thing. It just wants to know. That's the will. The will is still perceiving things within that framework of separation.
Mhm.
Like the more, like one of the big things is that knowledge is power.
Mhm.
Um, So, and that all goes along with what is your perception of power? What is your
Mhm.
perception of knowledge? And until then, it wills only to know. So when we're seeing our mind that is, filled with misperception, it is split. We're misusing it, but it's very active. It's really on. It can only will to know. And if we are if we are not using that perception, that mind of perception, now will is free. The same thing that we are using to misperceive is exactly the same thing that sets us free. And I think that that's something that most people, well, I have not been taught that. Coming up, I was always taught that something else was the thing that set me free. It wasn't the thing that was, that I thought was holding me back. Once I realized that I'm just not seeing it properly. I'm not using it properly.
Right.
If I was only using, nail clippers just to, snip off the ends of the sugar packets and not using it to cut my nails with, I'm not using them properly. So I'm not going to get the full effect out of the thing. But once I use the nail clippers to clip my nails that are now probably, curled, I never used it before, like that. Now I can use, now I have the freedom of will, and that will is unseamless. It's that thing that it's the all, because that's where all of your, like, determination, your power, the thrust to make creation happen. Like how the wind blows, from an easterly direction, or western or northern or whatever. It's that push that is that's already there, that's allowing everything else to be within that freedom now. I hope I didn't.
But no,
I didn't.
but you just um made me think about something. Now you talked about, I forget now what the original use you put the nail clippers to,
Oh.
but then you discovered, hey, this is what it's really all about. This is what they're really made to do. But I've been using it this way. And to me, what that says is we do or use what is available to us to accomplish whatever it is we're trying to accomplish. And even though it may not be the original intent for that object, how we choose to use it, that's where we experience that freedom, because we might know or we might not know the original intent for this particular tool or whatever it might be. But we use it and it satisfies our need for, or it gives us the freedom to go in a certain direction or whatever. So I think when it's, and it kind of reminds me of the story where this young woman was preparing a big dinner for her family, and she made a ham. And when she got ready to put the ham, before she put the ham in the oven, she cut off the hock and put it in there separately. And her husband wanted to know why she did that. And she said, because that's the way my mother did it. And then when she asked her mother, because mom came to this dinner, she asked the mom, she said, because my mother did it. And then she turned to grandma, and grandma said, because I didn't have a pan big enough, and so I had to cut it off so it would fit in the pan, go in the oven, you know. And to me, sometimes we are given freedoms, or we have the freedom, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah, because we don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's see, number 5. Afterwards, it can only choose ambiguously, and the only way out of ambiguity is clear perception. Ambiguity, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So afterwards, it can only choose ambiguously, and the only way out of ambiguity is clear perception.
Thank you.
And look up ambiguous.
That's what I was going to say. That was my next question.
Yep. And I should have done it before. Because when I read it, it's one of the words.
That was my next question. It's so funny you said that.
Yeah. It was one of the words that I had underlined, because I underlined the words that I feel we need to clarify.
Yeah, because I see ambiguity as, I think I know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay. Ambiguity. Okay. The quality, I'm sorry. Yeah. The quality of being open to more than one interpretation, inexactness. The simple meaning of ambiguity. A word or expression that can be understood in 2 or more possible ways. So I'm kind of seeing ambiguity and perception as I don't want to really say the same, but they are partners.
Well, I think it's probably one of those levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just like we all well, as soon as we heard the word ambiguous, we know what it is. But we need, in order to clarify it,
needed clarification. Yeah.
We so that in itself was ambiguous. So but I think you need that first, and then you get perception, because I kind of sort of know, because there are many ways to know this thing, ambiguous, but when I'm perceiving something, I'm choosing to see it based on the qualifications of first the senses, and then my relationship to it. So first one is ambiguous. Oh yeah, I can see it this way, or I can see it that way, and I choose I'm choosing to see it more where it's more comfortable for me. And but in order for me to come outside of perception into certainty and knowledge, I do need to look at it through many lenses.
Right.
You know, so yeah, so they are, you know, that is a level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty good.
The only way out of ambiguity is clear perception. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we got to remember that perception brings the mind into areas of uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we have to be able to see it clearly first. I can't see it in multiple, you know, in order to see it as one, I can't see it only through multiple ways.
Right.
I'm going to have to eventually put it into a place of stillness. You know, I do understand that it has room for, you know, ambiguity and perception and all of these things. But in order to have, you know, true certainty and true knowledge, I'm going to have to be in a place of stillness, while still allowing those things to be functional and rational. So that way, that's the only way that I can maintain my balance without it becoming rigid.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I was just looking at this. What are we talking about here? Error and the ego.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So if I'm going to see it wrong from the beginning, from what, you know, whether it's me choosing it or me having it imposed on me and me accepting that, you know, or me just being ignorant to it all, now, you know, that's the whole era of it. Now that builds the way I perceive myself. You know, if that's going to, you know, if I know a lot because I have a lot of books and I know a lot of words, and you know, I can, you know, I'm very glib in speech. Now that way people will think that I know a lot, and now I think that I know a lot.
Right.
But, you know, the knowledge is, and it doesn't have anything to do with me.
It's the knowing.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to step away for a couple of minutes. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay. Yeah, when I get to that place where I am comfortable being, you know, knowing without without a sense of error or you know, or allowing my my personality to take over, you know, back to separation, that's when I'm in wholeness. You want to read number 6? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I gotta my computer's about to go dead. Let me put my charger and plug up my charger. But you can go ahead on. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay. The mind returns to its proper function only when it wills to know. And we are, it's a little after 6 o'clock, so I'm going to read number 7 as well. This places it in the service of spirit where perception is changed. The mind returns to its proper function only when it wills to know. This places it in the service of spirit where perception is changed.
That was a lot. You did 6 and 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do 6 again. Let me see 6. The
mind returns to its
proper function. Only when it was. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, see, like on number 4, it says until then it wills only to know. Now number 6 is saying the mind returns to its proper function only when it wills to know. See, where, there's a difference in the only.
Mhm.
So,
It wills only to know,
yeah.
and it wills to know.
Uh-huh. Yeah, only when it wills to know. So when I just want to know.
Mhm.
I don't want to only know. I only want to know. Because that's all I need to do is know. But
Mhm.
then that way it doesn't affect my ego in it, because knowledge is free.
Exactly. Exactly. Although they have something to try to charge you for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Charge you for sharing their knowledge with you.
Right. Over
I
your
can-
stuff.
Yeah.
Number
Oh.
7, this places it in the service of spirit, where perception is changed. Excuse me. So this places it, meaning the mind.
Mhm.
This places the
That's it.
mind or the will. Which one? This places it is are we talking about the mind or
The
will?
mind returns to its proper function only when it
I guess
wills
it's the
to know.
same thing.
This
Yeah.
place is it in the service of
Oh,
spirit.
it's the mind.
I would say the mind, yeah.
Yeah, it's the mind. This places the mind in the service of spirit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now that my mind is in the service of spirit, because my mind moves my body around. My body, unless there is some, I have some, neurological disorder in my body does what I tell it to do.
Right. And
my
you
body
don't
says
even have to think about it.
But I might not be aware that it's a thought, but it started off as a thought.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to think I got to go pee. And then
Right.
I get up to go pee. And now I'm running to go pee, not thinking that I first thought out every word.
Right. Now I was not thinking about that particular function, because that is something that we do have to think about. But the beating of the heart.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Breathing. That's what I was
automatic. Yeah. The automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have to think about that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, we don't have to think about that.
Yeah.
Number 7. Oh, okay. And yeah, now that my mind is placed in the spirit in the service, I like that word, in the service of spirit. And I think that that's a scary word, especially for Americans and especially for modern Americans.
What's that?
Service.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we feel, we feel that we should be served.
But when you look at the masters, Jesus, Buddha, Shiva, that's the Hindu god, right?
Yeah.
Or Allah, any of those, what are they doing? What makes them so special? And Jesus said, I came to serve. And he demonstrated it in the things that he did as he walked this earth. He healed the sick. He drove out the demons. He even stooped so low, and I'm just saying that as to illustrate how we perceive it, as to wash the feet of his disciples. And John the Baptist said that he wasn't even in a position to, tie his sandals or something? It was something like, in other words, that was not a part of him. I mean, that Jesus was above him is what he was trying to say.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
but in washing the feet of his disciples, he's showing, hey, this is what we're here for. We're here to serve. And it doesn't matter what your position is, what your abilities are. You are here to serve and to give. And when you stop and think about it, when you do a kindness for somebody else, it makes you feel good. I know in my case it does. When I've done a kindness for somebody, I feel all bubbly inside or fuzzy, fuzzy wuzzy. You want to put it that way. Because what it does is I know that I have done something to make life better for you or the person that I've done something for.
Mhm.
And I used to tell my children all the time when they were young, I say, you do good for somebody else, it'll come back to you. And it might come back to you in ways that you're not expecting it. And it does. Whenever you do and whether you do a kindness or do evil, it's gonna come back and get you.
Mhm. And and that's what I was saying about service. Service
Mhm.
has such a bad rap nowadays. It's because we feel that we're supposed to be served as
Ex-
opposed to serving one another.
exa- Exactly.
And if we when we change that perception, because it wasn't that wasn't always the perception.
Right.
Service was at one point in time, glorified.
It,
But
it was.
service at one point in time was glorified, but now it's that perception of it has changed. And I think it's up to each individual when we see ourselves as in service of spirit.
Mhm.
Then I'm letting my body um do what spirit is leading it to do. I'm allowing my words to be what spirit allows them to be. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's when our perception is changed. Now we're going to perceive things differently because
Mhm.
I'm in service of the spirit.
Exactly. And I mean, it's just been in recent years that whole idea of service, because nowadays the whole idea is, how can I gain power and control the rest of the populace? But and I mean, even in our lifetime, when we look at certain people that we have voted into Congress and into the Senate to serve the nation, their whole idea, I mean, yeah, I want the credit for it, but what I'm doing for the people that voted me into office. And that's why some of these men and women that go to Washington stay there for so long, because they're doing a service to the people back home.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, in recent years, they don't even know what that means anymore, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Things have, concepts have changed. Society changes. Mm-hmm.
And that's
But
one of those situations where we need to go back to the good old days.
well, we need to go back we need to understand what service of spirit is.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's for each and every individual.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to find that balance within themselves.
Right.
To know whether they're actually really serving, because everybody serves all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I mean, there's we have a balance here, you know. Um, but when we shift our focus to always being in serve, to have a conscious awareness that we are in service of spirit, that the divine that is me, the inner part of me, as I allow that to be my hands and mouth and feet and arms. You know, that's a big, that's a big thing right there.
Yeah, it is.
You want to read number 8?
The mind chooses to divide itself when it chooses to make its own levels. Where did I just see something about? Oh. And I just in my studies with University of Metaphysics, I'm going through the module on or the course on meditation. And I can't recall, but that just brings to mind how the mind and I just read it in the last couple of days. I spend a whole week on each one of the segments, and I just started on this one, but that just, that sentence, the mind chooses to divide itself when it chooses to make its own level. And there was something in the section that I'm working on this week that addresses that, and like I said, I just started on it, but it struck me when I read it, and I'm seeing it again here in the sentence. But
Confirmation. Confirmation.
Right?
Confirmation.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when we think about it, the mind chooses to divide itself when it chooses to make its own levels. So so we have to I guess see each level, be able to see each level, as it is. But I'm talking about able to get away from the concept of levels. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mind chooses to divide itself when it chooses to make its own levels. So in order for me to get out of that, I have to recognize the levels as levels. And not as something that's trying to hold me back, or oh my gosh, here we go again, or whoopee, the best thing in the world, and in order for me to see each and every circumstance or situation as a level, as opposed to an emotion that's attached to that, I'm attaching an emotion to that thing. And then my mind doesn't have to divide itself against it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, go ahead. Were you about to say something?
No, I was just going to say the brain might be divided into 2 hemispheres, but the mind isn't.
Exactly. You want to read number 9?
But it could not entirely separate itself from spirit. Oh, wow. Because it is from spirit that it derives its whole power to make or create.
Wow.
But it could not entirely separate itself from spirit. Because it is from spirit that it derives its whole power to make or create. Wow. That packs a punch.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I have this, one of my favorite scriptures in the Apocrypha is from the Book of Wisdom. And it's about, and wisdom is explaining herself, who she is. I need to put a sweater on. Can I pause it for a second?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
But the question is, can I pause it for a second? know, cannot do.
Oh.
That's the $64,000 question. Can it happen?
Yes, it can.
Yes, it can. Okay, we were on number 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is not, but it could not entirely separate itself from spirit. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. I was talking about my favorite scripture about wisdom and how wisdom is refulges itself. Well, refulges herself, and that she is motion beyond motion, you know, and just to, you know, she pervades all things, you know. So, you know, when we think about that vibration, that frequency runs through us. You know, we are, that's who we really are. And we can tune ourselves to that frequency and to that vibration. So not only can we, you know, feel it with, you know, know it within our spiritual self, but we also can feel it and experience it through our physical self as well. Yeah, that's some stuff right there.
Really? Like I said, that
Go ahead.
that's and it just packs a punch.
Yes.
A wallop.
But it could not entirely separate itself from spirit, because it is from spirit that it divides the whole power to make or create. It is spirit.
Exactly.
You know? Exactly. And that's the thing where error and ego comes in, because I'm thinking that it's me, this personality that can do this. And, or, you know, and it frightens me to the point where I'm inoperable. I can't even move. That's that thing when Jesus was saying
procrastination.
Procrastination, yeah. You know, Lord, I know you could be a mean master. So I buried that talent that you gave me. You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So when we can either be from that perspective, or we can be from the perspective of, you know, I use 100% of me.
Right. Right.
I use that part of me that was, you know, that's afraid and still is afraid. And I use the wholeness of me where I know that this ain't me. I know that, that this really, you know. I'm just carrying this around. This is really what I'm doing. You know. So, you know, when we get to that place in that balance, that we will, I think that's where we walk on water.
Yep.
Yep. You want to go ahead and, I mean, any other thoughts? Any other thoughts?
No, I think you did a great job of explaining it. Because,
okay, you want to do number 10?
Okay.
Let's do number 10, please. I'm back on.
Hey, darling.
Hey.
Hi.
Okay. Even in miscreation, the mind is affirming its source, or it would merely cease to be. Wow.
Ah.
Yes.
One more time. Say that one. I need to hear that again, please.
Even in miscreation, the mind is affirming its source, or it would merely cease to be. So whether we acknowledge it or not, we know that there is a source. And that's just like we talk about atheists as not believing in God, but yet and still, I've heard people say that they've heard atheists say things like, when they get into a situation or when things get kind of hair-raising, an atheist will say, "Oh my God," you know.
Help
or
me,
other.
God. Help me, Lord.
Yeah,
Oh, right,
Yeah.
help me, Lord.
Yeah.
Yes.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what comes to mind when I read that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, mine too. You know, and but that's the comforting part. You know, all this time that we think that we haven't been there, or we're not doing it right, or something is wrong with us, it's there the whole time,
Mm-hmm,
loving us through that feeling.
mm-hmm.
You know, lighting our path, lighting our way, you know, bringing people into our path that will say, hey, look, you know, the way, you know, look at it, you know, instead of looking at it that way, why don't you look at it this way? Why don't you, why don't you just turn around a little bit and see something, you know, see another perspective, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Because this is how great Source is.
mm-hmm,
It's everywhere all the time.
exactly. All we have to do, and that's why those of us that are on the spiritual path consciously take the time, whether it's a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or half an hour, a whole hour, taking the time to meditate, because
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, really.
Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is, I mean, I know I come down hard on religion sometimes, but you know, it has happened a time or two before. But
There's good in everything. There you can find some good in everything, even
exactly, that's what I was about to
even
say. You know, everything, you know, different strokes for different folks. Whatever
exactly.
the thing that works for you is the thing that works for you, you
Mm-hmm,
know.
mm-hmm. And if it works for me, it doesn't necessarily work for you. And
Right.
I shouldn't condemn you or judge you because it does work for me, but it doesn't work for you, because I don't know what you've been through or what you have to deal with in order to make this thing work.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have to be ashamed of how I see it, my perspective. I don't have to be,
Exactly.
I don't have, you know, I can speak and I can speak my truth to
Mm-hmm.
you just as much as you can speak your truth to me.
Exactly. And
You know,
I'm
and
not gonna judge.
or be
And
judged. You know,
exactly.
and but
Exactly.
you know that because that's the whole point of being truthful, you know, being
Exactly.
authentic, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and allowing each other that space is that we, you know, sometimes we have to say, hey, look, you know, this is some space that, you know, I want you to see me here in this
Mm-hmm.
space. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have to maybe, and maybe I think that that's why we have a lot of wars,
Mm-hmm.
because
It
sometimes
is.
we have to say that, hey, I'm in this space, you know, don't intrude on me in this space. Hear me. No. Hear me out where I am in this space.
Exactly.
So that's the better frame of mind, is
And
hear
when
me out where I am here in this space.
I
And
take the time to do that, it gives me a better understanding
yes,
of you.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And we can do that as individuals, we can do that as communities, the whole world can do that, because it's only one. It just says so. Where is it? What was the line that said it's only one? Even in miscreation, the mind is affirming its source. It
Mm-hmm.
would it would merely cease, it would merely cease to be.
To be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there is nothing without it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? Okay, there's another rabbit hole, so I'm not gonna stay here because we're almost at the end.
Okay.
Not gonna start a rabbit hole at the end.
Why not?
But
Oh,
I'm just gonna throw it out there that maybe this is what death is,
hmm,
you know?
Mhm.
You know, even in miscreation, the mind is affirming its source, or it would merely cease to be. And when we look at the body, you know, we have skin cells and hair, you know, that we brush out or wash off, and
mhm,
it's just gone. You
mhm.
know, it just merely ceases to be. And wouldn't it be interesting? Okay, this is the rabbit hole right here. So I'm not gonna stay here, but this is the rabbit hole right here. What if, like, we're like, you know, like we're having our bodies and we're brushing our hair, or we're brushing our teeth, or doing some other type of function, and we're getting rid of the things that no longer affirms its
Sure.
soul. Okay, that's it. That would make that
Yeah,
would
yeah,
that would be a good science fiction book.
right,
Okay,
right.
okay, that's it. That's it. Okay. Anybody you want to read number 11? Which that's the last sentence.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
this is impossible because the mind belongs to spirit, which God created, and which is therefore eternal. Ooh, the mind belongs to spirit, which God created, and is therefore eternal.
Mhm.
So are they saying that the mind or spirit is eternal?
Because
God created spirit and the mind.
mhm, yeah, all of it, all of it.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Because the mind belongs to spirit, which God created. So, you know, mind, body, and spirit, mind and
Mind,
spirit,
body, and spirit. Yeah.
is all created,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from that one source.
Right.
And
But
and
notice
it
they
is
say that
therefore,
mind and spirit are eternal, but body
yeah,
is not included. That.
body's not included. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Excuse my French.
Mm-hmm.
I made a bad word. I'm sorry. I was thinking about something. I'm sorry.
Oh. Well, did you want to make a comment on either 9 or 10 or 11? Because I think I talked so much on 10, I didn't even give y'all an opportunity to say anything.
I was got so extracted everything I'm working on right now.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's because the mind belongs to spirit. And
Mhm.
isn't that, golly, isn't that comforting?
Yes.
That is so comforting, because, half the time we're not even sure where our mind comes from, you know?
And how many times have you said something or written something down and then go back and revisit it, or you say something and it's like, well, where did that come from?
Where did that come from?
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Because I mean, we surprise ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
How am I thinking this? I don't want to think this.
Mhm.
But,
It's
so it is
it's just
comforting to know that, uh, you know, you can see the line. There's
mhm,
mind, spirit, and God,
mhm,
you
mhm,
know? So there's source, there's idea, and then there's purpose,
mhm.
manifestation. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm
Wow.
sorry.
It's okay. You're good.
This was really, really a good this is really a good paragraph.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Oh wow. So roundtable 634. Hey, we did it. Actually, we did.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Because
Yeah.
we stopped a
We
bit.
yeah, we kind of Yeah, and we kind
Yeah.
of lingered on some of the couple of the earlier sentences.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
But
well, I can start.
since
I can
you
start
since you
one
have the
second.
floor, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I got a lot out of I got a lot out of our tonight's session. It's and it's so working in alignment where I am in my expression.
Mhm.
The way that I'm applying these things to my life, and then we come to class this afternoon, and then I'm seeing that I'm applying this thing to my life.
Mhm.
So I know that I'm in the right place at the right time, and I'm just I thank all y'all so much to help me talk it out and reason it out within my own mind, because you all are such a blessing to me.
Call you
Help
later.
me to be able to see who I am. Who I am.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
beautiful. Thank you. Okay, somebody else. I'm all mushy.
Mhm. Did you have something that you wanted to say for it?
I just want to say I'm grateful for both of you because it allows me understanding that I have more peace with my own spiritual growth.
Great.
And in my spiritual growth connection to both of you, I got a clear understanding that we're all one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, that's big right there.
Right. Well, for me, this whole section, and especially this paragraph,
The
it
meeting
just
is ending.
it's bringing me in more and more into my understanding of spirituality, because at this point, and I've been on this planet for a long time, but I still, when it comes to my spirituality, I still
Hey,
feel a baby in
the meeting's
in it.
ending now.
Say that again for us.
I'm sorry. I said the meeting is over in 5 minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, okay. You talking to somebody else?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Harriet. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say I still feel like a nursery school kid as far as my spiritual journey is concerned, but I'm old enough to take it all in and understand it. And in other words, I'm doing a what they call a speed dial or speed. But it's been, to me, this whole journey has been, I would say, marvelous.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word at this point in time, because it has shown me, and it has given me what I need in order to see life. I've always been kind of a Pollyanna, so to speak, but this just confirms it. Best way I can see it. Best way I can.
Yeah, and one of the things I can say is that when you look at it from our own perspective, and not the perspective that maybe has been imposed on us.
Exactly.
But really looking at it from our own perspective, we can see that we were in the right place at the right time the whole time.
Exactly.
Because I mean, that got you here.
Exactly. And the thing about it is, what got me here is, although the way I was brought up as far as my religious teachings were concerned, the I would say the liberal minds of my parents that encouraged me, is the best word I can use, encouraged me to not just take things at face value for what somebody tells me, but to find out for myself, because, and my mother she was famous for, Mom, what does so-and-so mean? Or explain so-and-so to me. That's why I got those books for you. Look it up yourself, And she had the answer all along.
Yeah.
But knowing that if I had to work to get that knowledge or understanding, I would remember it better. And
it gave you the work ethic.
Exactly. Exactly.
And a love and a love for words, because I'm glad she did tell you to go look it up. We tell you that all the
time. Yes, you do.
Okay, but no, this was a really great session tonight, and I'm chomping at the bit, to have this experience. I'm so glad for it. Let's see.
Yes.
Now tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Everyone.
And
yes.
We're not going to meet tomorrow, so we're going to be doing I Am the following Thursday, next Thursday. And we're going to play it by ear. Let's say if we come together on Saturday, let's just let it be a nice, easy time. I was thinking about maybe writing some affirmations, or doing
that. I like that.
Session or something like that.
That'll fit right in with what I'm doing now with the University of Metaphysics.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. So yeah. So let's on Saturday, let's get together and do some affirmations.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, and Sunday, what do we normally do? The Sunday we normally do Kabbalah. I'm fine with doing it, if y'all want to. So,
yeah, we can do it.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. So come on in. Both Saturday and Sunday is from 2 to 4. And so yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty much it for this evening. Would anyone like to close us out in prayer?
Harry, can you close us out?
I certainly can.
Thank you.
Okay. Let us close our eyes, take in a full, deep, cleansing breath. And as we take in that breath, let us be grateful for this time that we've spent together, for the knowledge and understanding that we gained as we had this discussion on error and ego. And let us be grateful for the friendship, the understanding that we had, that we gained of each other as we experienced this journey of metaphysics. And let us be thankful for all that we have and all that we will have, because there are so many in this world that will not be able to sit down with family and friends and experience the peace, just experiencing the peace that we are able to experience when we come together this holiday season. So be grateful and bless everyone that we come in contact with. Find it in our hearts to bless, be a blessing to everyone that we come in contact with, even those that we consider our enemies, because they too have a lesson to teach us. And with that, I say, and so it is.
And so it is.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Well,
You're
to the both
welcome.
of you, have a magnificent Thanksgiving, and always remember Thanksgiving is, like Harry was saying, it's not a day, but it's every day of celebration to be thankful.
Exactly.
Amen. Thank
Exactly.
you.
Yes.
Thank you. All
Okay.
right, everybody.
Okay.
Love you.
Cheers. Ciao,
Night
ciao. Good night.
all.
Good night.
Bye.
Night all.